Season 4 of The Dragon Prince is hopefully going to be coming soon. Honestly, who knows at this point? I've been saying it's going to come soon for the past year, and we still have not received any information on when it's going to get here, so I don't even know why I try to predict these things. But while we wait, I think it would be worth our while to look at what is most likely to happen in Season 4 of The Dragon Prince, what developments are most likely to occur, and what characters are most likely to be at the center of it. Season 3, as well as the graphic novel Through the Moon that immediately followed the events of Season 3, have left a lot of open questions. So what is most likely to happen in Season 4? What is likely to happen after Season 4? What might not happen but definitely should happen? Well, let's investigate. Will Rayla meet her parents? I don't know. I think so. I think it will happen eventually. And if it does, I believe the reunion will be happy, though it won't be idyllic, it won't be perfect. It won't be as untroubled as I think we, the fans, would like. Considering that Rayla's parents are the kinds of people who would put their lives on the line to defend the egg of the Dragon Thunder Avazandum against the designs and plans of humans, I don't think it is likely that they will have much affection for humans. If there are any elves who are more likely to not like humans, it's elves like Rayla's parents, who have constantly been on the front lines of the fight against humans. Rayla will have to explain why she's in a relationship with a human. She will have to try and pour her heart out, even though she's not good at that. And I doubt her parents will be very open, at least initially, to the prospect of this cross-species relationship. Rayla's parents also do not seem to be the warmest or most kind-hearted people. Admittedly, we don't know this for sure, we don't have solid evidence. For all we know, they could be as warm-hearted as King Harrow himself. But the Venn diagram of people who have soft and caring hearts, and people who are willing to defend the egg of a dragon against the intentions of humans trying to steal or destroy it, well, I won't say that Venn diagram is just two separate circles, but I also don't think there's a lot of overlap. This is not to say that Rayla's parents do not love her. I don't want to go down that route. But it is to say that they were probably less overt with their love than Callum and people like Callum consider typical. This is further enhanced by what we already know about Rayla. She is not comfortable with large displays of emotion. She doesn't know how to really handle these emotions in herself, too. Admittedly, she's more open than she was before after spending all this time with Callum, but a major reason why she was not the most open person in the world about her emotions probably has a lot to do with her upbringing. Part of that might be Runan, who we see throughout the Dragon Prince as a fierce warrior who cares about people but does not have a lot of time for sentimentality. But I do not think this is the whole and complete answer. When Callum talks about how in his family everyone would take time and sit around the table and talk about any strong feelings they've been having recently, Rayla looks at him as though he'd grown a third hand. It's not just that this is not something she grew up with. This is not a situation that fits with her ideas about family. It's that she was raised in such a way that she considers such an open display of emotion to be not just uncomfortable, but absurd. She has a hard time comprehending it. Now, I want to make absolutely clear that I'm not saying Rayla's parents were abusive or neglectful or anything like that. I mean, they might be, who knows, but we don't have evidence of that at this point, so we shouldn't make unsupported statements like that. But her experience with her family might not be as 100% positive and sunshiny as Callum might have hoped. It's possible that when she does reunite with her parents, it will be a more muted reunion. Not a lot of hugs and raised spirits, just joy and happiness, but subdued joy and happiness. It's going to be interesting seeing Rayla reunite with her parents. I really hope that the show explores the dynamics that exist between Rayla and her parents. There is a lot of fertile ground there. But will she reunite with them in Season 4? That, I don't know. It could happen down the line, but it also could happen in Season 4. It's an option. The idea of Rayla's parents, as well as Runan being trapped in coins, has been steadily built up throughout the first 3 seasons of this show, so they'll have to pay that off eventually, and I think Season 4 is as good a time as any to pay that off. I'd say it is reasonably likely to happen. Now, moving on to other matters, will Eryth emerge from his cocoon in Season 4? I really doubt it. Obviously, he's going to emerge eventually. I just don't think it's most likely to assume that he's going to emerge in Season 4. Of course, the idea that he wouldn't emerge at all would be very, very anticlimactic. Now, there's nothing innately wrong with anticlimax. I've made this point in the past, and I'll probably make it in the future. If the anticlimax serves a purpose, and there's a clear narrative and thematic reason why it's happening, it can be very effective. But Eryth not emerging from his cocoon randomly would be an anticlimax without a purpose, which I do not support. But again, I do not believe that he will emerge from his cocoon by the end of Season 4. Aaron Haas has made clear that the show is divided into 3 major parts. The first 3 seasons of the show, the seasons we've already watched, make up the first part of the show. Seasons 4 and 5 make up the second part, and Seasons 6 and 7 make up the third part. So, looking at this model, we're only a third of the way through the show, and the first third ended with Eryth spinning himself into this lovely, eerie cocoon. My guess would be that the second part of the show, the second of 3, will end with Eryth emerging from the cocoon, and then he will be a major threat for the last 2 seasons of the show. That would just make the most sense to me. I think that's the most symmetrical. If I were a writer of the show, that's what I would do. Now, this does not mean that Eryth is not going to play a large role in the narrative of the Dragon Prince in Seasons 4 and 5. I mean, just look at the past in Seasons 1 through 3. Eryth was a little bug creature then. Or at least that was the only way he could project himself in this realm, and yet he nonetheless managed to cause a lot of trouble. He managed to corrode Viren's soul and use him like a puppet and start a war with the elves and the humans. Whether Eryth is in the cocoon or not, I mean, he's going to be very dangerous. He's not going to be a force our heroes can safely ignore. But the more obvious foe, I believe, is going to be Claudia. For the first 3 seasons of the show, Claudia has gradually gone from being a kind of weird, but ultimately kind and fun-loving person, to progressing toward the dark side, but Season 4 might just be the season where she takes the full leap off the cliff into immorality. I believe this is extremely likely to happen, considering that Soren kind of kept her on the straight and narrow. Soren could be weird and misguided at times, but he had a good heart. Claudia, without him, is more prone to wander into darkness. We've already seen this happen. Ever since Soren left Claudia, midway through Season 3, Claudia sided very firmly with her father, and then was about to use a clone of her father to kill Ezrin, and when that didn't work, she returned to the cave where she dragged the dead corpse of her father and then brought that corpse back to life, probably by killing other people in order to power the dark magic to bring him back. It is the first instance we have seen so far in the show of a human being brought back to life using dark magic. But Season 4 is going to be much worse for her. It's going to be the season where her character does something absolutely unforgivable. This does not mean she's beyond redemption, but it does mean that she will have a very, very long way to go if she wants to redeem herself. Right now, it's just a quick hop, skip, and a jump back to the side of the good if she wants it. When I say that she has to do something unforgivable, some of you more astute viewers might say, hey, wait, hasn't she already done that? Hasn't she done all those terrible things you just mentioned, Joshua? And, well, yes, but it's more than that. She has to do something so terrible that it will make Callum and his entire team turn away from Claudia for good. And no, I don't think she's quite done something that horrible yet. She needs to actually hurt someone, and this probably has to be in front of Callum, since he's the one who's had the strongest connection with Claudia throughout the Dragon Prince. He's the one who was initially in love with her. He's the one who was so desperate to impress her. I'm not saying she has to kill a main character like Ezrin or her brother, but think about Zuko. If he had just sided against Team Avatar once, it would not have been that big of a deal to forgive him. For instance, look at Jet. Team Avatar is willing to forgive him even though he betrayed them, because that only happened one time and he had an understandable motive. But Zuko constantly tries to capture Aang. He demonstrates such resilience in pursuit of that goal. And even when he has the opportunity to side with the good, with Team Avatar, he can't do it at the end of Season 2. Because of all this, when he actually does turn to the side of the light, it's a very satisfying transformation. It takes a while for him to arrive at the conclusion that he needs to change, and it takes a while for the others to forgive him. That's what I want for Claudia. Not that you should try and copy Zuko's story beat for beat. You shouldn't. But instead what I'm suggesting is have her consistently make choices that put her against Callum and the rest of his team. Get them to view her as the enemy. Get even Soren perhaps to give up on his sister. Only when you reach that point, I think, would a redemption story really be fulfilling for Claudia. I'm not sure if it's possible, but if it did happen, it would be fulfilling if she has gone further down the path of darkness, and she has a long way to go. With Viren defeated, I doubt he's going to continue to be the main villain of the series, even though Claudia brought him back to life. That would be a rather static and stale narrative decision to keep Viren as the villain. I think the show's kind of moved beyond him as the villain, and we'll have a new villain, Claudia. She is the one who will be the biggest opponent to Callum and the rest of that team in the upcoming seasons. Her drive to protect her family and to protect herself will lead her to do things that Season 1 Claudia never even would have conceived of doing. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like and comment and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Keep watching The Dragon Prince. It's a beautiful, lovely, evocative, emotionally intelligent show that is only getting better with time. It's not afraid to stare into the darkness, whether it's the darkness of someone's psyche or the darkness of an entire nation. but it's also not afraid to try and find the light in the dark. It's not a cynical show, and that's lovely. So anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. Thank y'all again. Adios, comrades.